Hello, my name is Luigi Pengara. I'm a photographer, a graphic designer, and sometimes I make films, or at least web movies. Anyway, in this video, I want to talk about something I learned and I want to share with you. I want to talk about why nobody smiles in old photos. If you ever seen a daguerreotype or a black and white photo or something in sepia tone, back in the olden days, you never see anybody smile. Why is that? Well, there are a few theories that I'm going to debunk. The first theory is that the reason why people didn't smile is because they had rotting teeth. The theory is that people had, in those times, they didn't practice good hygiene, they had rotten teeth, and they didn't want it to show it on camera. Well, that's just ludicrous, because even people as far back as ancient Rome, they still had good hygiene. People still kept clean of themselves. I know it took a very long time since the fall of the Roman Empire for modern civilizations to reintroduce plumbing again, but it doesn't mean they were, affected by their time. And then the number one thing is, you do not screw around with your teeth. You got to take care of the mouth section, because you do not want to screw around with that. Trust me on that. So even Indigenous Australians in my country, they knew about proper teeth hygiene. So I would like to debunk that first myth. The other theory is that photographs took a very long time to expose. And in some cases, yes, that was true. That photographic equipment in those old days, they collected a lot of light. They needed to collect a lot of light, so it would take a long time. But still, photography was taking, even more and more, getting faster and faster. And emulsion and the paper and the process were going a lot more faster. So I doubt that was the reason, long exposure times. And anyway, if photography back in its early first days, if it took a long time to expose, then it would never took off, would it? People just staring at a little metal plate and said, "This is rubbish. I might as well take a painting." And that's another thing. Talking about painting, if it took a long time to expose, even if it did, then the subjects, the people who are taking that portrait, would still be patient enough to sit there. Because back in the old days, before photography, people would commission portraits. At least the higher nobles, the nobility and the royals would commission portraits of the royalty, of their own family members. And so that required the subject, the person who's getting their painting painted of them, to sit in a chair and just sit there for long hours while the painter paints. And that would have taken multiple days to finish a single oil painting of a royal member. So there would be no reason, even if exposures were long, even whoever was, that they would have no problem to sitting down, and therefore, they would be less likely to smile. But there was one theory that I read about, which I do agree with. It is that people didn't smile in old photos simply because it made them look like a fool. Contrast to nowadays, where everybody smiles in a picture, and if you don't smile in a picture these days, people think there's something wrong with you. People think you're upset. It's accepted that you smile today. But in the earliest days of photography, people thought smiling when you're taking a photo made them seem kind of foolish. Especially take Mark Twain, the American humorist and satirist who wrote a number of books. And he was a very funny guy. Some of the stuff you can read, his quotes are very, very funny, even nowadays. And all his photos, all of Mark Twain's photos, even though he was a humorist and a satirist, he's always grumpy and fed up, simply because he thought it would make him look foolish and like some kind of, common peasant. But you know what I mean? People thought back in those times that smiling in photos made them look like an idiot. Just like in the day, if you pull a funny face in a photograph, you look like a fool. So that's it. That's something that I wanted to share with you. And if you agree with me, please comment below. Or if you think I'm talking absolute bollocks, please tell me too.